In this video, we will talk about the old residential building of the city of Balıkesir and the fire resistance of these buildings. The main topics of the subjects are materials used and their reaction to heat, path of the loads, the reasons for the collapse of the burning house.
The most used materials in the structures are the chown timber, the adobe or brick, and the stone.
The ground floor walls and foundation is made mostly of stones, which is supported by a primary timber frame structure. Also, the main living rooms of the traditional Turkish house, for the reasons like climate factors, protecting timber from humidity, increasing fire resistance, were made of stones. The first floor structure is timber frame with a cross bracing, used for seismic design purposes. This provides the overall flexibility of the system and shock absorption capacity. The entire building can be built by timber, but when availability of timber is short, it is compensated for by infills in which small pieces of timber, stone, bricks, or soil fillings using Himis and Bagari techniques. Besides the frame system, it is seen that the timber is used in horizontal construction components like beam and lintel. The use of the timber frame on the first floor helps in decreasing the dead loads. The outer shell of the house is finished with a timber roof covered with tiles. The roof construction usually cannot be seen inside the room since the ceiling of the room is covered with timber boarding. The ceilings of the imported rooms are usually ornamented.
Like any basic structure, the loads transfer from the roof and the beams to the lower parts of the structure. After that, the loads are passed on the timber frame components, which are the beams and the columns. And since it's a masonry structure, the masonry walls as well will take some of the loads. Finally, the load-bearing walls take the loads and then go all the way down to the foundation.
From analysing the materials and the structure of these traditional Turkish houses, you can see how the fire travels and destroys the houses. As we know, the lower levels of these houses are built with masonry elements and the upper levels are made from timber. While timber is indeed a combustible material, in construction it has significant insulating properties and burns in a slow, predictable and measurable way, which means timber is fire resistant, but it is combustible. Where there is a lot of timber structure, it allows the fire to travel. When exposed to the heat of fire, timber goes through a process of thermal breakdown into combustible gases. During this process, a layer of charcoal forms on the burning surface of the timber, and it is this charred layer that is the key to the contributing factor in timber's fire resistance, but eventually the material will break down due to the heat. However, the lower element of the structure tends to stay intact as it is super fire resistant and the heat doesn't break down the material. If a fire is burning for long enough, eventually the upper levels break down and collapse the structure, which falls onto the masonry level. The impact then destroys the building. Studying the effect of fire has on the structure can lead us to improve the design of these traditional houses. So we could suggest changing the timber elements of the building could enhance the safety in an event of a fire, or design the timber in a better way to prevent the fire from travelling.